Hello and welcome to the third annual Art for Housing, coming to you for the second time virtually. My name is Tally Rabatin and I am the Community Engagement Director here at Lydia Place. On behalf of the entire board and staff, thank you so much for being here. Tonight's event will be streaming live shortly, right here on this page, so don't go far. Tonight's program will include Lydia Place program updates from Executive Director Emily O'Connor, a live chat with LP friend and supporter Ben Kenny, words shared from Lydia Place Clinical Health Team, and an online silent auction filled with tons of wonderful art pieces and packages to purchase and help raise critical funds for our programs and services. But before we connect and get started, I'd like to review some housekeeping and virtual event tips to ensure you are set and ready for tonight's event. Make sure that you have registered your credit card information to donate or purchase during the Art for Housing event. To do this, follow the prompted steps. Please note that your online RSVP does not mean that you are registered to bid. You will have to input your credit card details prior to bidding or donating tonight. Your credit card information is secure and will not be charged until you have bid or purchased an item or made a donation. Do you need help? Have no fear. We have many crew members standing by and happy to assist you with any concerns or questions you're having. Please contact us at events@lydiaplace.org or by calling 360-671-7663, extension 1000. The auction will remain open until tomorrow, Sunday, May 9th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And after tonight, our program recording will remain here for everyone to view and watch. So please do help us spread the word and encourage your friends and family to join our mission and raise critical funding for families experiencing homelessness here in our community. Okay, everyone, we are just about ready to get over to Emily in the studio to help us kick off Art for Housing and Mental Health Awareness Month. This year's campaign is #YouAreNotAlone. With COVID still keeping us physically apart, it is more important than ever to find ways to stay connected as a community. If you aren't familiar with Lydia Place and joining us for the first time tonight, our mission is to disrupt the cycle of homelessness and support sustained independence for current and future generations. Lydia Place launched its mental health program in 2017 and began offering counseling services to youth in 2020. Your participation tonight will make a difference to hundreds of families in our community. Get ready to join in. We invite you to enjoy lovely art, embrace Mental Health Awareness Month, and learn more about Lydia Place services and raise critical funding for Lydia Place programs.
Thank you, Tally, and hello, everyone. My name is Emily O'Connor, and I've had the privilege of serving as Executive Director of Lydia Place for the past 9 years now. I'm thrilled to be here with you-ish tonight for our third annual Art for Housing. And joining me in the studio is my dear friend and Lydia Place supporter, Ben Kinney. Ben, thank you for being here.
It's my honor.
Now, before we get going, Ben, I just want to take a second and recognize our sponsors and event partners. First, of course, our presenting sponsor. Thank you, Ben.
Welcome.
Our event sponsor, Hempler's Food Group, and our event partners, NPI, Veritas Media, and Living Earth Herbs. You know, Ben, we were just reminiscing a second ago here in the studio because the last time I asked somebody to join me as a co-host for a live event, the first thing he did was stand up and take his pants off. And I have a little bit of like, I feel like if there's gonna be any surprises, now would be a good time to tell me.
They auctioned his pants off?
Removed the pants, and then they did actually get included, he signed them, they got put in the auction. Now, I think maybe we should just pour paint on you, and then we could auction off your painted clothing.
I actually think there's an enormous amount of people tonight joining us that would pay a lot of money for me to keep my pants on. So if we don't hit our goals tonight, I tell you what, I'm walking off with my pants off by the end of the day.
Okay, well, we'll keep that in our back pocket.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Let's get started by talking a little bit about Lydia Place and their mission and the type of impact that Lydia Place has on the community, and then the impact you want it to have on the community going forward.
That's a great question. I think there is no limit to the impact that we want to have on this community. And that really for us starts with the kids. And I mean, as a mother of 3, I think about what I want for my 3 kiddos, and I want that for all of the children. And I think that, at Lydia Place, we're sort of entering this work. We've been doing this work for a little over 30 years now. Not me, of course. I was very little 30 years ago. But the organization has been serving this community for over 30 years, particularly serving families with children who are experiencing homelessness. And this is an issue that although folks are coming to us in crisis, we really want to do more than just respond to the crisis in front of us. We want to think about the investments that we can make in the families and in the children such that they can have every opportunity I want for my kids and every other child. So we have a robust array of services all built around homelessness and housing. And I'm sure you living here know this too, but you kind of can't go anywhere these days in this community without confronting the housing shortage. You're in real estate. You understand what that looks like, the availability, the affordability, the impact that has on folks, the impact it has on businesses trying to attract and retain families and people to work for them. It's a lot. We have a lot to grapple with in this town, and I think it has this sort of ripple effect on the children who aren't getting their needs met.
I don't think any of us watching tonight can fathom the idea of a single child being homeless for one more night. And when we think about it in that perspective, it's like a knife in our heart. And that's what we have to understand tonight is the services and programs that Lydia Place offers truly solves that problem. Why don't you give us some examples of some specific programs and services that you guys have been able to offer and want to offer in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I said we come at it from that crisis, right? Somebody's experiencing homelessness and they are referred to us. Oftentimes they're in a car or in a tent, and sometimes they're in other places that you wouldn't, like a shed, somebody's sort of backyard shed, or we have a lot of folks who come to us from maybe like a RV type of a situation with no electricity, no heater, no running water. And those just aren't environments in which kids can thrive. And so the first thing for us is stabilizing them in housing. It's just the most fundamental building block of the safe environment. But then we really want to see what else do they need. And our goal is to take kiddos and provide enough services such that they are the last generation in their family to experience homelessness. Because we want to be thinking long term. And we know when we invest in kids, that's how we get it right for everybody. So housing services is step number 1. But then a couple of years ago, we built in parenting programming, because I'll tell you, parenting is really hard, but there's so much joy in it. It's such an amazingly rewarding experience. But if you don't have the resources that you need and you're not in a space where you can sit down and play with your kids or do art with your kids, you're just living in trauma, then you don't get the joy of parenting. You don't get that positive feedback of that bond. What you get is all of the endless hard work. And so we have parenting programs at Lydia Place so that we can help parents work through the challenging aspects, think about education, developmental screenings, talk to them about creative ways to play and engage with their kids and build that bond. And then the third important piece of our programming is our mental health program, which we're going to learn a bit more about a little bit later tonight. But that is something that, and this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is, I'm really excited about this event because it's thinking about how does art fuel wellness for all of us, and what does that look like? And of course, kids are usually obsessed with art. I know mine are. They're constantly drawing and making big messes in the house, but that's just part of what their brains are able to do. So I love this event because it brings those things together.
I heard you say a couple things. One, that homelessness, poverty is a generational issue.
Yeah.
And if we don't stop it at this generation,
there it goes.
Generations and generations forward are going to continue to have this problem. That shows up in hunger and abuse and homelessness, poverty, all those things in general. So your focus is helping individuals, children's parents, right,
Yeah.
get back on track. What percentage or do most of your people going through your program graduate out and become self-sufficient, so to speak?
They do, yeah. The most recent data that I was looking at was for a program called Rapid Rehousing, which doesn't really matter for the average person what that means, except, as you said, we're trying to get folks into housing, then get them back on their feet. And that program has about an 82% success rate, which is really great. And that is, we don't want to hold people in poverty. And we've got a lot of systems actually in place that disincentivize people to be able to move forward. Whether those are programs that, if you earn a little bit more money, you lose your benefits and they can't actually do that. Childcare is a big issue in this community, and certainly with the pandemic, we've seen a lot of parents, it has disproportionately impacted women and women with kids who then have to pick, like, do I work? Or do I stay home with my kids who now aren't in school? So there's all of these complications that impact the lives of our families that make it actually really hard. And then you see these just like little bit of opportunity can make all of the difference in someone's life and their ability to get back to work, maybe to finish a degree program. We love to see those stories where parents can actually dream about what they want for themselves and then start to move towards those goals, and then the impact it has on the kids who get to see those successes.
When we listen to Emmy coming up, we're going to hear a little bit about a word that she has spoken to us about, and it was hope. And everybody needs a little bit of hope. Every kid out there wants a little bit of hope that they have a chance for a good life, and every parent wants some hope that they can get back on their feet. And it's been a tough, gosh, that must be 14 or 15 months now since, one, we've seen a face.
Right, yes.
And two, this pandemic, the COVID crisis has had a massive impact on housing and families and poverty. Tell us a little bit about how that's affecting your organization and the clients that you serve.
Yeah, it's scary is what it is. It's been a scary, hard year. It's been hard to see. It feels like watching a train wreck in slow-mo, where we can see what's coming, but we don't know how bad it's going to be. We just know it's going to be bad. So we have already seen, so there's been an eviction moratorium in place. So there's a lot of families who have fallen behind on rent, but the consequences of that haven't happened. As I mentioned, we've seen that disproportionate impact on women and women with children. We see a lot of single mothers who are experiencing homelessness in our community. Domestic violence is one of the leading causes of homelessness for women. So there's these compounding factors. And then you have isolation and job loss and all of this added trauma and stress in the households. And so we have seen, even though the eviction moratorium has been in place, we've seen the waiting list here in Whatcom County more than double for families with kids. And it is such a painful thing, Ben, because we've worked really hard in this community to prioritize services for children and families. And a couple of years ago, that we saw that paying off. And we were getting down to like 15-ish families on our waiting list. And that has now ballooned back up to about 150.
Just to be clear, what you're saying is that there's 150 families just in our small community that are in some form of homelessness, whether that's a car or a tent or under a bridge or couch surfing or a trailer or a shed right now, and that's just our small little town.
Yes, and I would say that is a much lower number than the actual amount, because we also know that there's a lot of families who are kind of what we call precariously housed. So maybe they're not in a car yet or a tent, but they might have maybe the parent is experiencing unsheltered homelessness, but they've left the kids at a neighbor or a friend or some other place. And so those sometimes don't even get into the system. A lot of folks are doubled up or couch surfing. And we actually see, when we look at the data and the impact on kids, it's housing instability that is the negative factor. It's not what type of homelessness did you experience? Did you have safe and stable housing? And if you didn't, if you move multiple times as a child within a short period of time, it has a negative impact on your academic, your mental well-being, behavioral and emotional challenges. There's just this compounding stress. And so this past year has been painful to watch that significant increase of need. I will also say, though, that this is a beautiful community, and we have seen individuals step up in some amazing ways to say, how can we help? And that that is what fills me with inspiration and gives our team at Lydia Place so much hope, as you said, that we can actually keep making a difference.
Which is why tonight is so important, because tonight we have an opportunity through art and through the generosity of everybody watching to help put a dent in this big cause, right? And to be aware that this month is mental health awareness, and that they're so closely tied to each other.
They really are. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Art is something I would love to hear, Ben, kind of what is art a part of your life? But was reflecting as I was thinking about this event that I used to do a lot of art as a kid, and it was something that I lost along the way with a job and school and college and parenting, and you just sort of get into the sort of daily grind of responsibility. And I've been thinking a lot, particularly in this past year, about those moments that we take for ourselves and sort of reimagining how I think about art, which is partly things like these beautiful pieces that we have with us and that are in the auction tonight, but also all sorts of other types of art. I've been writing poems. I won't share any. But I've also been doing some drawing and thinking about just sort of the natural beauty of the world that we're in and all of these different ways to sort of think about this concept of art for me. Is art a part of your life?
Art is about imagination and creativity, and art is about skill set. And my father, a phenomenal photographer, my sister just has this way with their hands and pottery, and art for them is a skill and something they have a gift of. I'm an appreciator of art, a collector of art. I like to buy art. Last week, Emily, I bought some wood carving kits from Amazon.com, and I have proof of it, everybody, because can see I just removed the bandages
So maybe
this morning.
That's not your skill?
You never know. It takes time, right? I think art does a lot of good for mental health. It tells the history. It creates jobs. It's a way for us to express ourselves. It's a way for us to connect and communicate, and something for us to pass on to our children and to our friends, and a way for us to give back, as so many people have donated to our event tonight. There's over 160 pieces in the auction, and over 20 local artists and over 100 artists just around the world that have donated to make the Art for Housing event tonight so phenomenal.
I love it. So this is actually, you just mentioned your dad and that he does photography. This is one of his pieces.
Yeah,
right?
My dad, Mike Kinney, is a phenomenal man and a great father, and we navigated poverty and hunger and so on growing up, and he's just become this phenomenal photographer, especially of birds.
This is amazing. I love owls. There's just something magical about them, and this is such a beautiful, so this is in our auction.
It's in the auction tonight, yeah, for sure.
As are these two pieces here of native art. This is by a local artist, Jan Stamy, and this is a beautiful dream catcher piece. And then this piece as well was donated by one of our Lydia Place board members, Carol Jefferson. And this is just, I don't know if you can see this very well here, but this is a local artist from Lummi. This is a killer whale piece by Charmaine Lawrence. And I'm just so amazed to see all of the different ways that people make art. And I'm really excited to have some of those pieces in our auction tonight. Thank you to your dad for these beautiful pieces.
I've already bid on the one that you just held up.
You did?
Yeah, I already did.
Because you're going to give it to me as a gift?
Maybe. I've been scrolling through the auction list, and I see these friends, these people that we know from the community and around the world that are donating, and I feel so bad bidding against them, but I also feel kind of good. So if you see my name on there, don't let it stay.
That's right. That's the attitude. Okay, Ben, we're going to take a pause, because I'm going to invite two of our Lydia Place team members from our mental health program to join me on the stage to talk a little bit about mental health and how the program operates at Lydia Place. Erin, Holly, thank you so much for joining me tonight to talk a little bit about the Lydia Place mental health program.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. So, Erin and Holly, it's really pretty unique to have a mental health program embedded within a housing organization. And I would love it if, for the folks at home, if you could just talk a little bit about why is it that we did that? Why is that important?
Access to mental health care is a human need. Mental health is a human right. And we at Lydia Place, we work with clients in these really intense moments. Often people have experienced a ton of trauma in order to even get where they are today. And so previous to our mental health program, Lydia Place was working really hard on helping people get housed, but then there were all these unmet needs, and one of those significant needs was mental health. And our community is not able to offer mental health in a way that's accessible and flexible and unique in the way that we are, and we felt like embedding that and being integrated into our housing was really key to helping people maintain housing and thrive and see a different life for themselves.
That seems to be like the key takeaway, right? And if I think about mental health and a crisis, flexibility seems to be what you would need in that moment. And I feel like that's one of the things that I hear is really hard, is that the services might be available, but not necessarily accessible when you need them. And for our families who are coming from such hardships and trauma and who have very little natural support systems oftentimes to lean on, that seems to be the thing that sort of makes it work, is that we're able to be flexible and show up in the hardest moments. And maybe you can get an appointment next Tuesday at 4, but that's not in the moment when you need it.
Yeah, and even with timing too. Sometimes when our clients are in crises, they can't make their appointment time, and so we can say, hey, we can meet later in the day, we can meet tomorrow. Like what's gonna work for you, to help them a lot of times even work through that crisis that they're in at that time. So.
As a mom, that's the reality. The kids are there, and still having somebody to support you and talk to, and who doesn't, you don't need to have that structured, rigid kind of environment to be able to get the support that you need.
Yeah, and we'll adapt. I mean, that's part of it. If people can only meet for 20 minutes because chaos is happening all around them and kids are coloring on walls, we'll meet for 20 minutes. And there doesn't need to be any guilt or feeling bad about whatever it is that their lives are whatever state their lives are in. That's part of what we do and part of why we want to be here, so that people can access our services no matter what's happening around them.
Yeah. And what are those services? So you talked about meeting people sort of individually, working with the parents. What else is the mental health team able to provide at Lydia Place?
When we started, we were really just working with adults, and that was really what we were seeing as the most obvious unmet need in our community. And then we realized, with feedback from the parents that we were serving, that really their kids were struggling, and especially during this pandemic, kids are really struggling. And the same barriers that exist for parents to access that care exist for their children to access care. So we expanded so that we will work with kids of any age. We're working with teenagers. Sometimes we're working with a parent and a child who is struggling significantly, so the work might be with the two of them. It might be crisis intervention. We might meet with someone one time or two times when they're really struggling, maybe with a difficult conversation they need to have with their child about a loss, some grief, and maybe they aren't ready to dive into it, but they really just want someone to bounce ideas off of. So we can do we can work with people once. We can work with people. We've worked with some people over years who for the first time are able to access counseling in a different way. We've worked with couples, we've offered workshops to clients, so special workshops that we brought clients in and provided childcare, and we're able to just kind of bring some skills in a fun and supportive way. So our clinicians are intentionally have space in their schedules. They don't have high caseloads, so that they can be creative and be thoughtful and really provide the services that clients need, and in a therapeutic way. So it's different.
And we're able to think through and address needs as they come. So if something unique comes up, we can be collaborative and figure out how we can meet that need.
And I'm curious if you could share a little bit about what you've seen in terms of the impact of this pandemic on the families that we're serving at Lydia Place.
Just generally, I have seen an increase with clients reporting like stress and anxiety. Really, as a clinician, things that I focused on is really validating their experience, letting them know that so many people are struggling right now, and they're not alone in that. That's been a huge focus for me, and I think that is a relief for a lot of people to know that they're not alone. alone
Especially
in that
now.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some solidarity there.
Yeah.
And I think that's been really helpful and important for them.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot. Of course, our mission at Lydia Place is really about addressing the housing instability and the impact of homelessness from both generations, right? So thinking about the support that we can provide to the parents, but also the support that we can provide to the kids. And you can't function as a parent the way you want to if you're struggling, right? And so how do we address both of those things? Because what we want to do is raise strong, healthy, resilient kids. And this seems like such a critical piece, this mental health component. Although, I mean, even just the label, right, like mental health services can be just, it comes with these sort of negative ideas oftentimes. But we all struggle as human beings, and we all need to have support and opportunities to reach out and to know that we aren't alone, especially when, you know, a lot of our families are coming with very few natural support systems that they can rely on. I'm just wondering if you have any tips for any of us that are like in those moments where we're noticing just high extended stress or anxiety. There are things that we can do that are just feed our mental wellness and that anybody could use, whether it's a parent or maybe I could teach my children. Is there something like a good tip that we could all take home with us today?
Sure, I think I can think of one that's pretty easy that anyone can do.
Great.
And it's really for kind of those moments when you're finding yourself spiraling or kids are yelling or screaming and you just,
Oh, that sounds like my everyday.
I need to come back and remember where I am. This exercise is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Super simple. And I don't want you to think really hard. I just want you to do what I tell you to do.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me 5 things you can see right now.
See you and Holly and a lamp and a bookshelf and a ladder.
Great. Tell me 4 things you can touch from where you are.
I can touch my chair. I can touch my boot.
Do
I
it.
Okay, keep going. I'm out of hands. I can touch
You can move your hands.
my head, and I can touch this stool.
Okay. Tell me 3 things you can hear right now.
I can hear your voice and my voice and a little hum of some camera equipment.
Okay. Tell me 2 things you can smell.
I can smell my coffee breath, and I can smell whatever it smells like in here, a little bit of paint.
1 thing you can taste. What does it taste like in your mouth?
Coffee.
Okay. Simple. But what that does is it brings you from this spinning, spiraling state to here and present and now. The things you can touch and see and hold will help ground you in being here right now.
I get it. I felt just a little bit stressed because I'm on camera and you're asking me very simple questions. So I sort of felt like it worked in reverse, but I can see how that would be a very helpful bring you to this moment and to reality that could be very helpful. By the way, also for my children.
Right. You can even cut it shorter. You can say, I want you to touch 3 things. I want you to tell me 2 things you can see. You can shorten it or lengthen it.
I love it. Thank you. I love tangible tools. Erin, Holly, thank you both so much for joining me tonight to talk about the Lydia Place Mental Health Program.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Joining me next, we have a very special guest, Emmy Olyin, to talk about how Lydia Place has impacted her life. She is our featured artist, and we're going to get a sneak peek at 2 wonderful masterpieces of hers that are available for sale at our auction. Emmy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
It's our pleasure. I have had the opportunity to chat a bit with you and to hear a little bit about your story, but I would love it if you would share a bit of your wonderful self with all of our audience at home this evening. And just maybe you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and how it is that you came to know Lydia Place.
So about 5 years ago, my life really just fell apart. I was dealing with domestic violence and just really trying to leave my spouse and start over. So when that happened, I signed up for Lydia Place, and within about 5 months, they got me housing and just gave me a fresh start to start over. And I just wanted to have hope for my children again, that even when you go through horrible times, you can still have hope to do better. So once I was stable there, I basically got counseling because I was talking to, the manager there, and they were basically telling me that maybe that's something that I needed for myself so I can feel more comfortable and know that I'm doing the right thing by leaving that situation. And I did 8 months with them, and it transpired to something different. They were talking about this art therapy program that they were doing, and they seen the dedication that I had to, heal and move forward. So eventually they signed me up for it, and I was nervous and scared. I had 10 years just giving up on myself and trying to be a better parent, and I literally forgot about who I was. So that just helped me heal in the process to become something now where I'm at, and I'm just very grateful for this art opportunity that they basically gave me.
It's such a powerful journey, and so many lessons that you learn through that process and through hardship. And sometimes I think we have this sort of this external and internal pressure to present just the best parts of ourselves, right? And I think about this often with like social media, where we put these great pictures, we tend to post things when we're happy, and it sort of feeds this collective pressure to just be okay all the time, right? But the truth is we're human, and life can be really hard and full of trauma and challenges. And that I love, you and I were talking before, and you were saying it's like you had lost a part of yourself and your belief in yourself. And that experience with your case managers as you were moving into housing with your kiddos was something that helped sort of put you back together. And I think you were saying like you relied on them to believe in you until you could believe in yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes just hearing kind words from a stranger and giving you that hope that sometimes you don't get from your family members because they're traditional. I have to live with my culture too, and very judgmental, and we don't talk about mental health. Mental health is so important. It doesn't matter where you come from. You could be the most beautiful person in the world and you can still be damaged. So to me, that was my opportunity to start over. And within 2 months of me doing art therapy, I literally said, I'm doing a silent auction. I don't care if it sells or not. I'm going to start somewhere, and hopefully they love it. I sold 5. So to me,
amazing.
It just gave me that hope that I didn't have.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said 5 years ago you started in one of our housing programs at Lydia Place, and so much has changed in 5 years. 5 years ago was about the time that we launched the mental health program, just as this little baby like pilot project. And I think the therapist who you had an opportunity to work with, she happened to be an art therapist. And what perfect timing that we use graduate level interns, we have staff clinicians and then graduate students who help us with delivery of services, and happened to have this art therapist on staff at the time. And I would love to hear a little bit about what that journey was like for you as you were, you said that you had done art, right?
Yeah.
At a different point. Can you tell me a little bit about the art that you used to do before having kids and being a mom and experiencing all of that challenging time?
Well, I always liked art, so to me it was just something expressive that you can do in your alone time. So I just never knew how you can connect art with art therapy, So to me, once she said that that's a possibility, I'm like, how is that even possible? So we just basically talked through it, and she's like, there's no pressure. It's just about you healing and taking time. We're not trying to make a masterpiece. And in my mind, oh yes, I am. No, you do not know who I am. Once I found out that, people liked my stuff, I just wanted to give back to the community. And I just started from there, I started with the Bellingham Senior Center, Fire Bells, and Getty, now you guys. I just want to spread the message, it's so beautiful to believe in yourself and just understand that we can fall apart, but also we can help each other to be stronger. You don't have to do this by yourself. I'm here. There's Lydia Place. There's other amazing women that believe that you need some faith and hope. And I just feel like you guys gave me that back. And that's why I'm here talking about my story. We could make a change together, and my future is to help Lydia Place transpire something amazing. It's not going to end with me. it's going to start with other people too, giving back to our community, because mental health is so important.
Yeah, and you're right. It's something we don't often talk a lot about, and that can be really damaging, to have that hidden piece of yourself and those hidden struggles. And one of the things at Lydia Place is we really care about kids, and so I'm curious if you can tell us a little bit about how this discovery of art for you has impacted your children's lives and your relationships with them, and the things that they get to see from their mama.
Well, basically, they seen me get counseling, and from there do art therapy. So they seen the whole process of making a mess, starting over, falling apart, but renewing and refreshing. So basically, they see me from zero, to hero. So now that I am here, I want to make my daughters proud of me. I want them to believe that, we do fall apart, but at the same time, just with a little hope, we can do better. And that's why I'm here. Because of my daughters, I believe their mental health is important. They need a foundation, stability, certain things. Advocate for your children, and that's why I'm here. I'm here talking about my story because my daughters deserve the best version of me. I am something, but I will believe that I am something.
You have some lucky daughters, I can tell you that.
Thank you so much.
Emmy, I understand you brought a piece to share with us today. Can we take a look at what you brought?
Yes.
Oh, that's just so beautiful. I grew up on the water, and so I look at this and immediately, my heart is happy because it looks like the ocean to me. Can you tell me a little bit about what we're looking at?
So to me, this painting means my life. It means water. It means beauty. It means depression, anxiety. The water can be so calming and beautiful, but it can be a savage too. It can rip you apart and it can make you fall apart. So to me, it's just my journey in life, becoming that goddess. How do I become from something to nothing, So this is an important piece to me. And I just want to empower other women that, you aren't by yourself. You can become this beautiful piece, but you just have to believe and get mental health. Mental health is so important, and awareness of it. So this is my piece. This is part of my heart, and hopefully, somebody will enjoy it in their home.
That's so beautiful, Emmy. Thank you so much. So this is acrylic pouring, right?
Yes.
On the right side. And that, do I have it right that was sort of when you said, okay, I'm going to jump back into art, it was acrylic pouring that you started with?
So it was just a dirty cup pour, just trying to believe, okay, something's going to pop out of nowhere,
Yeah.
So to me, it was just the starting point. And then from there, I'm a go-getter. I always want to do something different so that you can't see it's the same artist. So I'm always trying to trick people in a way so they can believe, I can do whatever I want. Just set your mind to it. So this is setting my mind to it, from a beautiful woman also to somebody that was damaged. I had to go through that so that I can talk about my story now. So thank you so much for this opportunity and allowing me to be here.
Emmy, you are such a joy. So inspiring to talk with you tonight, and I'm just so grateful that you're willing to share yourself and your journey with us. And I understand that piece and this piece, which is also one of yours,
Yes.
will be in the silent auction tonight. I want to thank you so much for being here and being so open with your story and sharing your struggles and your inspiration. And I'm just so excited to be able to share your art with all the folks at home. And also, for those of you watching tonight, Emmy was gracious enough to be the feature of our end of year newsletter a few years ago. And this is her with her 4 beautiful children. And you can read her whole amazing journey and story in this, which is on our website. But also, Emmy in the auction tonight is a link to buy a little class with Emmy, and she will teach you how to do that acrylic pouring, which is just such a great opportunity to take this incredible inspiration and story that you've heard here tonight and take that own journey for yourself at home. So don't miss out on the opportunity for her beautiful pieces here tonight and that class as well. Emmy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was such a powerful story. It has been so inspiring to get to hear from Emmy and to think about the impact of the services at Lydia Place, but also just to be a part of her journey. And we don't always get to see that, but it's so incredible, Ben. Anytime we get to experience the next phase, which is like, as you just heard, Emmy giving back, and she's now out there. This is a busy, full-time working mom of 4, and yet she's volunteering her time and donating her art and just pouring all of that love back into the community, which just warms my little heart.
Emmy just wanted hope, and she just wanted an opportunity to restart, and as soon as she did, she went right back to giving it back so other people could have that same hope, and it was a powerful story.
It's amazing. I just love her. Actually, we have a piece, so Emmy's pieces are in the auction. This piece just came in this week, and this is actually donated by Emmy's daughter, her 17-year-old daughter, and I love it. And we have a kids corner. So this is Malia's piece, and this is also in the auction. And this year we have something extra special, which is we have a kids corner for the first time, which is all Lydia Place, kiddos in Lydia Place programs who were given an opportunity to make a piece that then folks could take home today in the auction, which is so fun.
There's a button there that says buy now, and I just bought young Ben's piece.
You did?
Yeah, I have a thing for
I can't imagine
kids
why.
named Ben, right? I jumped in there, so none of you have access to the Ben painting anymore. It's been acclaimed, which is a good message for all of us because these pieces are going super fast tonight. So make sure you jump into the auction and grab something before it's too late.
I love that. And what a cool thing for a kiddo to be able to have a little piece of art that somebody else gets to treasure, and those visual reminders then of what you all are doing tonight as you're helping us help families. This piece, actually, I hope you all can see this piece too. This is in the auction. This was donated by Lisa Abbott, and it is incredible. It's a pour, but it's got this just amazing like goddess in it at the same time. And Lisa shared a little bit about her story. She, as a teenager, her family experienced domestic violence, and so they were in the system for a little while and needed some support. And now another example, like here she is saying like, oh, Lydia Place has an art auction, look what I can give. And it's so beautiful to see those stories come back around and to hear what a difference it makes when we say, I can help.
It feels like it has Aaron, one of people in our worlds, written all over it, Aaron. So if you're watching tonight, this piece is just screaming your name. I could see it right next to all your stuff. So that's awesome.
It's beautiful.
So tonight there are lots of ways for you all to contribute. Number one, you can buy the art. Many of you already took part of the VIP experience, and if you purchase that at the last minute, we're still going to send you the art kit, and you're going to have an opportunity to rewatch the videos and go through it yourself with your family if you choose to do so. But tonight, we have a really big ask. We really need to raise a lot of money to help the 150 plus families that are currently roaming around our community without a place to stay with their children in tow. And we set a big goal tonight of a minimum of $15,000.
Yeah.
Now, we're starting it off with a little bit of a high five because we had a few very generous people that were willing to start us off with a big donation.
Yeah, that's true. So we want to say thank you to 2 amazing lead gifts. A huge thank you to Maggie Parker, who's a realtor at the Molyot Group, for her $5,000 kickoff.
Maggie, that is such a massive and generous donation.
It's amazing.
You're a phenomenal realtor and an incredible contributor to our community. So thank you, Maggie. And then our friends at Hempler. And we're going to throw our friend Emily under the bus. She's not a meat eater. She is not a meat eater. So she does not appreciate Hemplers like I appreciate
Yes, I do.
Hemplers. I appreciate Hemplers and Keston and their entire team so much because not only are they a big sponsor of our event tonight, they also made an additional $3,500 donation. Now, we've been looking and watching our little thermometer. People like Holly Priestner in Austin, Texas, $1,000. Carrie Naslin Monday, $1,000 from San Francisco. We would like to ask all of you to not just bid on the art, but if you have some dollars, big or small, that you take the time to go and click the Donate Now button and give just as much as you can. And we're going to tell you really quickly in a minute why that's so important.
You know what I love about that, Ben, is that those are some of your folks who they see you give. They see you showing up on a Saturday to do this with me, even though I know this isn't necessarily your cup of tea. And then they turn around and give too. And it actually doesn't matter whether you're here in Bellingham or not. A child is a child is a child, and they're all deserving and worthy. So thank you so much to all of those folks out there giving. You can also sign up, as Gail Smith just did, to be a monthly housing hero. And what we love about that is, rent has this really pesky way of being due every single month. And so when we have families, we're trying to make a commitment to helping them pay their rent. Right now, that commitment is oftentimes a lot longer than even it used to be pre-pandemic. And so when folks sign up to be a monthly contributor in our Housing Heroes program, it helps us be able to make that commitment to a family that we know that money's going to come in so that we can then help them pay their rent. So thank you to anyone tonight who signs up to join our Housing Heroes program. I have a little bit of exciting news, which is we have already hit $11,000
Wow.
in our ask.
Wow. That's
That is
awesome.
amazing.
We're going to have to double or triple the goal.
Well, so here's the thing. If we set the goal at 15,000, we always get a little bit nervous in nonprofits. And so if we raise more than 15,000, do you know what happens, Ben? We get to help more kids. So that's the win.
Right. And that's why we're all here tonight. So if we recap the different ways that we can give, we can click the Donate Now button and give as much as you possibly can. We can buy art, right? All of you are participating in the event. Anything else we should add on the ways to give?
People give in so many different ways. They donate their services to Lydia Place. They donate their art. They donate
Dad.
their time and their talents. Infinite number of ways. And our commitment at Lydia Place is not to turn away somebody who says, I want to help too. And we believe that everybody has a role to play, whether that's having conversations with your friends and neighbors about ways that they can give too, or just being a child's champion. The homelessness is, the kids who experience homelessness, they're oftentimes the invisible aspect of homelessness. We talk about the visible part that we see downtown and encampments around, and we don't oftentimes talk about the families with kids because we don't see them. So there's infinite number of ways to help, and we're so grateful to everyone who does that. Looks like we've just passed 13,000, so keep it rolling. But while you're donating, Ben, I would love if you would share a little bit about why it is that you got involved with Lydia Place. It's been a while.
I remember the first time that I sat in a conference room with you, and you said, I want you to be involved.
I was so nervous.
I was like, what does this lady want?
Money, obviously.
What is going on? What is Lydia's Place? And she sat down and she said, we have a problem in our community. And I drive around like everybody else, and from time to time you see signs of homelessness, probably never more than you do today.
Yeah.
But when you sat down that day, you said, Ben, there are nearly 400 individuals, children, kids, currently without housing. And I said, what do you mean? And you said they're in a car, they're homeless, they're in a shed, they're bouncing around, they have nowhere to go. Or in some situations, they're stuck in a house, but they're being abused in all ways, neglected, and they need a way out, right? And I think about that number all the time because it breaks my heart. But here's what I want everybody to hear, is that homelessness is not a number. It's not a statistic. Homelessness has a name. The other day, as I walked up the sidewalk and on my way to lunch, which was a normal thing for a lot of us, right? I walk under the on-ramp or the overpass of our major freeway, and on the ground there's a little girl sitting there. And the little girl was all alone, and I don't see anybody with her, and I look down and I smile, and she smiles at me, and on the top of her head was a piece of cardboard that she had folded because the water was dripping, because we live in Seattle and it's always raining. Well, the water was dripping down the cardboard, and the drips had hit her face, and the face, you could see the dirt coming off her face, just following the drips as it went down. And I said, what's your name? And she said, my name's Anna. And I said, Anna, where's your mom? And she pointed, and her mom was another 25 to 30 feet forward at the off-ramp with a sign that said, Mom, need food, homeless. And as I walked past there, I realized that homelessness is not a statistic, it's not a number. Homelessness has a name. And that name in our community that day was Anna. And here's the problem. There's 400 Annas in our community. And we cannot allow one more night to pass with Anna being homeless with a piece of cardboard over her head, dirty, wet, and cold, hungry, with nowhere to call home. It's unacceptable. And we have to do whatever we can to make that possible. And that's why we give to Lydia Place. And that's why we always say yes when you call.
I thought I was supposed to make you cry, Ben. I could not have said that better. That's a painful story to share. And that's something that there's no shortage of these days, is painful stories about real, actual children. And I think that that's hard sometimes when we talk about fundraising events, and there can be a lot of them, and we ask a lot. You know, I ask you a lot to help. And that doesn't always come with a name and a story, right? We're just saying, can you give? But the reality is, these are real families in our community that really actually benefit from and need us to say yes. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you for always saying yes when I ask.
What I've noticed about homelessness is, I made a post on social media the other day about this event, and somebody commented, I have friends that went through the Lydia program, right? Or that was me. I have employees that were there, and I have friends that said that wasn't me from Lydia Place, but that was me in New York when I was a kid, or that was me when I first became a mom, or when I first became a dad. And we don't see that because we see them successful, or they have jobs or careers now. But there was a point where they're in that position of they wouldn't be where they are today if it wasn't for people like you and Lydia's Place and all the team behind the scenes and our sponsors that help people get that piece of hope.
That's right. That's the hope. Well, thank you, all of you out there who keep blowing this goal out of the water. That's really exciting. And I tell you, it's been a super hard year. And it's hard to do this work when you see us falling further behind and the need continuing to grow. But I have no doubt that this generous community and all the way across the country, whether it's New York or Florida or California that is stepping up to help, that we can actually lean into this in a way that has no children experiencing homelessness. And that's my hope. And I'm continually inspired by the people who are willing to say yes and to give more and to step up. So thank you to all of you out there being by our side through all of this. Ben, I do a lot of listening to podcasts, and one of the podcasts that I oftentimes listen to is called Hidden Brain. And there was one of the most recent episodes was the little tagline said, "Children laugh an average of 300 times a day." I thought, wow, that's amazing. And I thought about my own kids and how often they laugh. And sometimes I'm like, could you just be quiet for 5 minutes? Like 300 times, that's amazing. And then I thought about all of the kids who don't get to hit that 300 a day average of laughs. And I thought, that's what I want. I want every child to have a safe enough environment that they can get to that average of 300 laughs a day. And that it's been sitting really heavy with me, but also in an inspiring way where I feel like if we can cultivate healthy parents who have the resources that they need and healthy kiddos who have the resources that they need, that their days can be filled with the privilege and the joy that, you know, so many of us experience, such that they can all aspire to have an average of 300 laughs a day. So that's my inspiration these days.
It's got to be hard, and we know it's hard to laugh when you're hungry, when you're cold.
That's right.
When you don't have a place to call home. I read something the other day that over 30% of children around the U.S. are not in contact with their schools. Meaning since the pandemic happened, they've disappeared.
That's scary.
We don't know what's going on in that situation. And at least in our community tonight, we can do a little something about that through the auction.
A lot of work to do. Well, I just got a little note here that says we hit 14,000. That is amazing. And this auction is going to keep going, so you all can keep contributing. But we're going to take a quick break and let Tally tell us a little bit about the auction itself.
Thanks, Emily. Hello again. We are just thrilled to see your donations rolling in. Thank you again so much for partnering with us in our work, and don't worry, there is still ways for you to continue helping us reach tonight's fundraising goal. With a catalog of hundreds of pieces, including local masters and one-of-a-kind pieces, there will be something for everyone. Here is a little taste of what you will find in the auction catalog. And there are many, many more to choose from. Remember, your dollars create real impacts, so continue to peruse the auction catalog by scrolling down from this video on your cell phone or desktop screen. The auction will close tomorrow, Sunday, May 9th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We had so much fun this year with the Kids Corner, getting our community involved in art expression. With participation from clients and our community, we are thrilled to showcase some tonight. Also in tonight's auction, you will find opportunities to join us as a housing hero. For as little as $5 a month, you can help us continue to say yes to families with children in need of emergency shelter. We have multiple packages to fit into every budget, and we want to say a special thank you to all our current housing heroes for your commitment to our work. The auction will close tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and all winning purchases and donations will be processed on Monday, May 10th. Please be sure to look for your receipt via email, which will include the date and time for item pickup later in the week. If you have questions or need assistance, please do not hesitate to reach out to our support crew. They are there to help at events@lydiaplace.org or by calling 360-671-7663. Extension 1000. Back to you, Emily.
Thank you, Tally. That's so great. Ben, this is so exciting. We have so much to be thankful for tonight, and the donations just keep rolling in. You've got your phone there. How's it looking?
We just hit $14,020. We need $980 in the next few seconds before we're going to let all of you off the line. Otherwise, for the rest of the night, we're going to be hanging out. And they're coming in quick. We got another friend of Lydia Place for $960. Matt and Olivia, thank you for your donations. Barb, thank you from Boise. Kimberly from Boston, thank you for a very generous donation. Sarah, Tammy, Christina, Wes,
Oh my gosh.
Barbara, it's coming in, but we're not quite there yet. We need just a little bit more. I'm going to keep refreshing until somebody out there hears us and they help us get to this.
I
this
have no
number.
doubt that they will come through, because that's what people do. They just
Absolutely.
keep showing up. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. A big thank you to our presenting sponsor, who doesn't like to be fussed over, and to all of our other sponsors who've helped make tonight's fundraising possible. Shop the auction, share with your friends. It's open until tomorrow evening, so you can spread it around and keep checking in on your items. And I just want to say again, thank you to all of you for showing up for kids that you will likely never meet, but they're out there and they need your help. A big special thank you to our team here at Veritas Media, to Josh and Brian and Pia and Glenna and Luke, the whole crew here who takes such good care of us every time. And to our entire community engagement team at Lydia Place, who works tirelessly for months on end to make these events possible and to make them so much fun. I want to say, stay healthy, stay safe. We hope we'll see you back in person in 2022. That would be a lot of fun. I probably can't twist Ben's arm into showing up in person, so we'll just chalk that up to some COVID silver lining. Ben, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you, Lydia Place, for helping our community and the families and the kids out, and Tally behind the scenes for all the things that you do, and Emma for the great demonstration on how to pour art. It was fun to watch from the sidelines.
It was fun to do.
And all the sponsors from the Molyot Group to Hemplers to Veritas. It's been a fun event. Keep bidding. The auction is open until
Tomorrow
night.
evening. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. See you then.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, everybody. Be safe.